González Hervás, Security Defense Partner at EY. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll try to approach the discussion also reflecting on the comments by the Councillor. But first of all, Congressman, Senator as well, thank you so very much for the opportunity to join this panel. I have been already almost 25 years working in the defense and security industry, aerospace as well. And it really is an honor to take part in these discussions and these conversations with, to be honest, with an audience that doesn't need to be reminded that we are not really living an anticipated future of AI, but we're rather kind of already navigating it. It's also from the defense and security perspective that that we really need to reflect that the front lines, we are seeing it every day in the news. Sadly, but we are seeing it every day. It's the front line of the battle space are really not only digital anymore. They're actually, not only physical anymore. They're actually digital. They're actually algorithmic. They're actually progressively autonomous. So when we think from that perspective on the leadership in AI globally, it really is not a matter, and this was a topic of discussion during the session yesterday, it really is not a matter, according to our opinion, of just economic growth, of just financial reasons, not even technological frontiers. It is an actual matter of sovereignty. It really dictates how the conflict develops, and it actually shapes up, well, we are seeing it again every day, it actually shapes up and reshapes the global geopolitical landscape. So in light of this scenario, when we have to reflect, or when we do reflect from Europe on what we can do, really there is a pivotal decision whether we keep on, because we have been so far, we keep on being bystanders of the discussion of the AI landscape globally, or we try and close the gaps in order to be able to, well, to join the group of architects that are actually shaping it. So I'm going to try to structure this short speak, or these minutes of intervention in three areas. First, I got to start being honest. If we want to be discussing again, if and what can Europe do, can Europe build, even if it's feasible for Europe to do or to build something actually at this point in the I would say arms race, AI arms race, we really have to look at where we are standing now. And again, from an honest perspective, we really need to understand where our vulnerabilities are resting, and what we've done right or what we've done wrong so far. No? So it was also mentioned yesterday, it's a key fact, and it's widely known by anybody who really deals with large language models or Gen AI globally. But out of the number of major foundational models, I would say, that were developed last year, 40, and again, a colleague yesterday mentioned it, 40 were developed in the US, 15 in China, only 3 in Europe, by the way, in France. Also, by the way, they are not exactly performing like top of a notch in terms of benchmarking, which is also not ideal from a European perspective. But that really, again, in light of the defense and security and the intelligence and security reflection, that really leaves us in a very poor position. It's not only a digital technology problem. It's something that it's really compromising our sovereignty and our capability to defend the democratic values that we believe in. No? Again, in terms of internal reflection from European standpoint, our AI landscape has been suffering an over-regulated scenario that could have somehow worked around this over-regulation by having significant investment, which was, again, not the case. So far from ideal, one more time. Then again, we have been lagging because of a non-cohesive, I would say, industrial sector, industrial structure, lacking private capital to be supporting those initiatives. Startups, again, lacking the funding and lacking the, I would say, spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit and the culture, not risk averse, but on the contrary, that, for example, American startups are facing. So we've not really done it so great just yet, I would say. We've had a number of wake-up calls already in the recent past years and lately, the recent past months, and I would even say lately, the recent past weeks. A number of wake-up calls have been just performed, both from inside and outside the EU. Draghi's report on European competitiveness already highlighted the severely, I would say, underinvested technological landscape in Europe, and technologies where we are basically investing more in middle tech than rather in high tech. Also, President Ninistro's report, by end last year, I think it was November last year, it's versed as well and directed a bit more those reflections also on defense and security, and again highlighted that the nature of the current conflict, given the nature of the current conflict, AI is really a key enabler of modern deterrence and a key enabler of the prevalence of our sovereignty, the prevalence of our values, the prevalence of the principles of our society, of European society. Not only that, but also, again, I was going to say it was already this year, it was the European Commission with the rearm plan, with the readiness 2030, and then a bit later, a few weeks later, with the white paper on the defense, on the European defense, already again highlighted the impact of artificial intelligence in the development of the current battlefield and the development of the conflict, and the need to be able to overcome those I would say those severe gaps that we are having, particularly on AI. So again, in light of this scenario, it doesn't really seem to be anymore, I would say, a market failure from Europe, which of course, at least in my opinion, it has been, but rather now it's a severe, again, strategic vulnerability that we are suffering and that we cannot cope with. Good news, to put some highlights, good news is I think that it seems that we are starting to take action. It seems that we heard the wake-up calls, and it seems that we are starting to do some things. It was only last month, in April, that Europe launched his AI continent action plan with the 5 strong pillars that I would not go very deep because it's widely, I assume it's widely known. First of all, because the ambition it pursues, it's really great, given, again, the starting point where we are coming from. But also because I will mention them a bit, because they help us structure what shape and what elements there are or we can find in the AI landscape, and thus being able to try and tackle each of them from the European standpoint to see whether we are better or worse positioned in order to be accomplishing our goals. So the 5 pivotal, I would say, pillars the European Union is structuring this approach, and I would read them if I find it. Yeah. Computing infrastructure, which is pretty obvious. Data. We are not really masters at sharing, I would say, data or making it accessible. Regulating, yes, but not really sharing. It also discusses and focuses a lot on adoption, and I mean adoption including not only the models, be it classical or Gen AI, but also the use cases, and it focuses really a lot in driving adoption within the European industries to be able to thrive in delivering the action plan. Also on the skills and the talent that is required, and again acknowledging that we don't have such a strong, I would say, university position in terms of global competitive approach, as for example in the US or in Boston area or in California, but still there's huge talent that needs to be leveraged, and within the EU, not only talent only coming from the EU, but also coming from other places where European values are appreciated and the principles of our society are shared by the students and the doctorates and everything. And the last one, but not least, which is one of our, I would say, major drawbacks, is the regulation and the purpose of, or the ambition again, from Europe to be a bit easier, to go towards the smart regulation that we discussed yesterday, but again regulating because it's in our culture, I would say. So from that perspective, if we really go to, okay, then what can we do in Europe? I mean, again, going back to the question at the beginning, is it feasible? Can we do something? Are we on time? Are we still on time to be able to do something? The good news as well, at least from our point of view, is that we are not starting from scratch. I mean, there are a number of advantages and strengths that we can leverage in order to be able to, again, cover the path, cover the path from being a stand-byer to being an active architect of the global AI landscape. For example, some sectors, some industrial sectors and businesses, such as automotive or even aerospace or health or mobility or green tech, those are sectors where Europe is clearly very strong and has a lot of expert knowledge that can be leveraged, has a lot of traction there that can be, again, put in place to be able to build those use cases that are really making the difference. Because, fortunately, the AI landscape is deeply affected or deeply involving generative AI, but not only generative AI. Actually, in order to be able to build complex AI systems, we need to put orchestrators, we need to put agents, we need to mix classical and Gen AI. And in that field, really having a deep expert industry knowledge is key to actually putting some value and some human alignment, as we also discussed yesterday, some human alignment that makes the system, the overall system, really work and really be meaningful in terms again of adoption and in terms of use. Then another, and this might be a bit controversial, but another strength, and many experts consider it as such, is our regulatory capabilities, because that makes us trustworthy, that makes us reliable, that makes us a solid partner and an ally. And in light of the current geopolitical situation, that is not something that can be, I think, that should not be taken for granted. And as such, that trust that the European Union actually has should also be considered as another strength. We also have very strong democratic values and ethical values that are embedding everything, the culture of our companies, the culture of our people, the culture of our cities and of our citizens as well. And that is also understood and interpreted by the market and in general the AI landscape as a positive element that we can actually be leveraging. And we really can be now that also defense plans have been put on the table, we really can be very significant in the use of AI in the defense industry. I know it's not been something that has been very openly discussed up until now. Again, there we also needed a wake-up call, or many wake-up calls a few years from now ago. But still, we're pretty much in a good shape in that field. So, just to close up or to wrap up, four, I would say, elements or call to actions in terms of what we can actually do. Of course, we need to invest more. This action plan that I mentioned that was launched for the AI continent last month included 200 billion euros, which again, if we compare to Meta's and Nvidia's and OpenAI initiatives, Stargate, which is funded with already 100, seems to be not enough, and we need to mobilize it. We need to be able to mobilize private capital. We also need to integrate and again leverage the strength of our industries to be able to integrate use cases and to make those industries pool pull from the demand side, not from the technology bottom up, but rather from a top-down demand. We also need to empower, because we really need to build a strong European innovation ecosystem and to bring back the talent that might now be a bit wary of going somewhere else. And we really are we really have to strengthen that. And we really need to collaborate, because it's in our nature, for good or bad. I mean, there are 27 of us. We really need to interoperate, as you were saying. We really need to be able to choose how we build our strategic interdependence, or our strategic sovereignty, or our strategic, I would say, dependencies. We need to choose the allies we go with, and where we go with each of them. Because otherwise we are not going to be able to master what we really need, which is keeping our security, keeping our democracy, and sustaining the principles that we all live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Both outstanding, very informative presentations. I think it's important that